So there are a number of people for whom they're just, you can see that every aspect of the church's life, as we've tried to shape it so that give them the best opportunity for nudging them closer to Jesus in some way, whether that's doing their garden to make the first contact with them and make a difference to their life, or set up a babysitting circle or something like that. That's a first initial contact, but of course that's a long way from putting your faith in Jesus and understanding how the Bible fits together. So we need every component. Now we've had numbers of people who've got baptised as adults, come to faith, and they're beginning to reproduce themselves. Now we're on a long journey, so it's not been a quick journey, and each of their stories has its own complexity. But it's exciting to see people discovering life and then beginning to work out how to implement Jesus' life in their context, in their lives.
So you would describe your church as a growing church, not necessarily thinking about numbers on a Sunday, but you would say that your church is growing?
I'd definitely say our church is growing. I am constantly evaluating it, whether it's growing deep enough and strong enough and mature enough. Constantly, that's my concern, and my challenge to the impact groups that we've got, various, or those that run them, is not just are we making a difference in a social way to people's lives, but are we also drawing people to Jesus, or is it making a difference in terms of people's connection to God? Because we can make a difference to people's lives, but we want to root people into the life of God. And that's the difference that we make, as opposed to doctors and social workers and all the rest of it. And we've got that gift to offer people, the life in God. So unless we're doing that, I feel like we're not succeeding. And of course, when people trust Jesus and they get baptised, they also turn up on Sundays. That's a benefit. And then they need to turn up on Sundays to keep growing in their life. But so it is growing. Is it a straight line? Is the graph constantly up? No.
We came up with some ideas. We weren't sure whether we'd come up with solutions. We needed to try lots of ideas in order to see which of them worked and which of them didn't. And we had a focus of trying to be more outward going, and started a thing called Cafe Create, which is an arts cafe, inviting people who would be interested in standing up and performing to come and meet in a church hall, and then a local tithe bar and a lovely community meeting place, in a fair trade cafe bar environment. And about 50 or 60 people started coming to that regularly, enjoying performing, and we got to know some people we hadn't previously got to know. We thought we might hit a lot of young adults doing that, but actually the age profile of people who came was a little older than that. But it grew and it was interesting.
Well, so 2 or 3 examples I can give. One, there was someone who'd been an organist in the Camelot group for a number of years and was now suffering from Parkinson's disease, was quite disabled, not really able to get to church very much, and he and his wife needed a lot of support, and so we have one of the lay pastoral assistants regularly going in, visiting, helping with different tasks, giving the kind of long-term support which I could never have given on my own. That's one. There's someone else who lives in one of the villages, and she's a dog owner and therefore also a dog walker, and as she meets people on her dog walks, she begins to talk to them. She mentions that they could be prayed for if they have different needs, or sometimes she will ring me up with a report of that conversation and say, here is someone I think you need to go and visit. And she's also thinking of setting up a support group for those who've been suffering from cancer, hold it in the local pub. So a lot of things seem to be developing from that ministry as well.
And so would you say now you feel that the church and the life of the church here in Camelot is indeed growing as a result of that focus on lay ministry?
I think there's certainly been a connection between developing the gifts of lay ministry and the growth of the church, not necessarily in numbers, but certainly in its impact on the community. We've recently we've set up a number of services where we meet not in church but in the school, and there have been large numbers, over 70 attending the last service in school, people we wouldn't have seen otherwise, and they may not become regular church members, but nevertheless the church has been ministering and engaging with them in different ways.
Well, I can't say that we've built a robust, new, fresh expression of church. I think it's still early days. We're still playing in a way and experimenting. And Pit Stop, which is the name we've given for our monthly service that happens in the play centre, we're going to run it for a year and see if it grows into church, but we've only met twice now. And because it's such a new thing, the team is still learning what it is. We don't really know what it's growing into, and we want responses from the people who are coming to help shape it to be what they need it to be, because I think growing new church is about letting go of things that we hold sacred and allowing them to play a part in shaping it to be something new. And I think in that way we're trying to lay a path to the church of the future.
Yes, dwelling in the word is a term used with Partnership for Missional Church, but it is also very much for those who are used to the more traditional style, Lectio Divina. It's about taking a Bible passage and reflecting upon it and discerning how God is trying to speak to us at this moment in time through that Bible passage. And we use that at the beginning of our meetings, our PCC meetings, at our committee meetings, and often at other meetings. And initially people found it quite strange. People who are active Christians would say, well, hold on a minute, we've come here for a meeting, we've come here to be part of a committee and do stuff. But gradually they've begun to realise that what is obvious, but sometimes we forget, that we can't do stuff without God. We can't do stuff without referring to the Bible and listening to God and allowing him to speak to us through the Bible. So I think that's been one of the key changes that we've tried to initiate. And sometimes it's been successful, sometimes it's been a bit of a struggle, but we are getting there. And I think probably that sums up where we are now, is that we are getting there. In a sense, after 4.5 years, we've had a lot of bureaucratic change. We've had a lot of evidence that God is blessing us in our villages, but we feel that we're at a pivotal moment now, and we have an away day in the autumn where we're going to sit and consider the small changes that we will need to make to take our parishes forward. And that won't necessarily be about more people on our pews, but it will be, hopefully, about how Christianity and Jesus Christ can be more evident within our communities and be something accessible to everybody and not just people who've had a history of it.